Hello, welcome to the HM show. This is your host Harish. On September 19th, Trump government did something which created confusion across the world, especially in India. So they decided to crack down on H1b visas by increasing the fee, one-time fee from $5,000 to $100,000. This entire move was done to stem the flow of foreign workers into US and to ensure that more number of jobs are available for the local population. Since an announcement of the Liberation Day on 4th of April, the American economy has been going through a very hard time. They have been adding fewer jobs every month. The young, tech savvy, and the educated population is finding it difficult to land up a job. Obviously, the entire ecosystem was trying to find ways to stem this rot, and they were looking for scapegoats. And they found their perfect scapegoat in the H1Bs. So let's have a look at it.
Has been the H1b non-immigrant visa program. This is supposed to allow highly skilled laborers who work in fields that Americans don't work in to come into the United States of America. What this proclamation will do is raise the fee that companies pay to sponsor H1B applicants to $100,000. This will ensure that the people they're bringing in are actually very highly skilled and that they're not replaceable by American workers. So it'll protect American workers, but ensure that companies have a pathway to hire truly extraordinary people and bring them to the United States.
We need workers. We need workers. We need great workers. And this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen. I think, Sean, do you agree with that?
Well, they're $100,000 per year. So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000, then they have to pay the employee. So it's just not economic. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land, train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs. That's the policy here.
Let's see, it was not an unexpected move, to be honest. Trump had talked about it during the campaign, so it was about to come. But the way in which it was announced, that created a lot of confusion. If you saw the announcements in the video, they had mentioned three things. The first was fee levied would be $100,000 per year. Second, they also mentioned in the notification that anybody who was outside the country, he would have to come to the country in next 2 days to avoid paying this entry fee to USA. And third, they had mentioned that on every renewal, $100,000 would have to be paid. Now, the second part, that people would have to pay an entry fee in 2 days if they are outside the country, that created a tremendous amount of confusion and hardships to people. The announcement was made on 19th of September and it was to come in effect from 21st of September. So in effect, people were giving just 2 days to move back. A lot of H1B visa holders, they had been traveling to different parts of the world. So a lot of people from India who had taken leaves, Durga Puja vacation or other vacations, they were asked to come back to report to their jobs by their supervisors. It created huge scenes across different airports. So let's have a look at it.
Indian passengers disembarked mid-boarding from an Emirates flight to India, leading to chaos at the San Francisco International Airport. Now, the viral video on social media, which News9 cannot verify at this moment, showed dozens of Indian nationals pleading to exit the aircraft, fearing that they might not be allowed to return to the US. Now, the flight carrying Indian nationals, many reportedly traveling for Durga Puja celebrations, had completed its boarding and was preparing to just take off when this news broke. And this led to a reported delay of over 3 hours as the crew and the ground staff tried to manage this situation. Now, remember,
to add to the confusion, racist MAGA supporters and other people, they try to increase the hardship of the Indian travelers by creating a group in a social media portal called 4chan. Now, you see the screenshot in front of you. So they created an operation in 4chan social media portal. Operation was called the Clog the Toilet. So the entire idea behind this operation was to harass Indian travelers who were reporting back to their jobs in US. So the entire modus operandi was to do false bookings of the airline tickets. Bookings would increase the scarcity, would reduce the number of seats, and would increase the airfare. So basically deny or harass or do financial damage to the Indians who are reporting back to their jobs. And these guys, they thought that they can harass more Indians, and so they all created this group and they started acting on it. Turn airfare, that increased from $450 usual to $900 to $1,000 in no time. This entire move by the US government is very popular among the supporters of Trump. Now what we will do is have a look at their opinions, what exactly they feel about it. Majority of the H1b visa beneficiaries are Indians. So what exactly is their opinion about the Indians? So let's have a look at it.
$100,000 visa fee for temporary skilled workers. This ends H1b. And I'll tell you what. When they say high-skilled workers, that's not H1b. And you don't need to recruit from India or any other foreign country for that. What they're really doing is trying to get cheap labor from foreign countries that will take a job in America, but will work for less, right? The big tech people said, no, we need H1b. And they were saying American workers are lazy. And then you get the working class MAGA people who are like, no way, dude. Why are we competing with these people from foreign lands? So Trump says, okay, if you really want to hire somebody because you can't find anybody else, you got to pay $100,000. Now, guess what? If a company really genuinely needs an engineer from a foreign country and they can't find anybody here in the United States, they might pay the $100,000.
Visa workers to come in and build these specialized roles. Again, not just in computer science, but many other specialized roles within the American economy. So we're going to dive deep into that.
So different influencers have different theories. So the previous guy which you saw was Tim Cast, decent size famous YouTuber with I think 2.45 million viewers. He is considered to be a MAGA. So his take was that H1Bs were hurting the local people. Fair take, I would say. And this gentleman which you see on the screen right now, he is a small time YouTuber who calls himself a proto-coder. He asserts that the entire H1B program is a scam, is a long-running scam, and he should not exist. So let's have a look at his opinion.
Figure out if that is actually needed. And we're also going to look at some videos going over some visa abuse, some methods, and then also understand why would someone come here and take on the risk of maybe getting abused, because we see it happen over and over again, that if you take this risk of coming for an H1B visa and you're not working for a reputable company, abuse can't happen. So why would someone risk so much coming here if this could happen? So before we get into anything, this is your daily reminder to hop on over to jobs.now, and we're going to do that right now to apply to some green card holder position. All right, so these are some perm process green card holder positions. So again, remember, for the H1B visa, you do not need to prove that American can fill this job. Again, this is a misunderstanding that many people have. I used to have this. And for the green card process, you do need to prove this. And to prove it, all you need to do is have a job up for 30 days and prove that no American applied to it. When we look at how to apply for this job, you need to send this job with this job code to addreply@stripe.com to be considered. Wow, what an unbelievably difficult way to apply compared to how everything now has easy apply and one-click apply and everything there. So yes, of course, I went ahead and applied and sent my resume to addreply@stripe.com. And
so this person is sharing his opinion. I just wanted to point out to two different things. He first of all says that typically the companies which use H1B visa, they scam the American citizens by putting these job requirements into non-standard ways, where advertisement or announcements are made, like in classifieds or different newspapers. And immediately he goes to jobs.now. I'm sure it's a job portal, big or small, I have no idea, but it's a job portal. And his biggest grouse about the Stripe job, which had a H1B visa angle to it. The process for applying for a job is extremely difficult, and what is the difficulty level here? All a person has to do is to send a resume to the email ID mentioned with a job code. And imagine that he considers himself to be a coder, and he finds sending a mail with a job code and resume extremely difficult process. Anyways, so let's see the next guy.
With loads of videos going of these individuals saying, we run your country and all this kind of stuff. No. A quick rebuttal for that would be, if you do, then you will have no issue going back to India and running India, then will you? It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry about America. Don't worry about it. It's all right. It's all
It's not
right.
your problem. Go make India great again. It's fine. It's fine. We're happy with that. We're happy. You did that.
Has it ever been great?
No,
no,
it's
why?
terrible. Why are so many Indians dying to not live in India? Why is that? Why is that?
Because we don't rule it anymore.
Because it's a shithole.
Literally, because they excrete in the.
So you see the amount of scorn they're heaping on Indians and India because of sense of entitlement of few people. So post this announcement, a lot of Indian, I would say, social media handles, influencers, etc. Maybe people who are impacted, but they went to social media and they started posting content like singular theme that America cannot run on its own, and America needs Indians. This kind of argument infuriates the local population there. Their contention is that if you guys are so great, why is India not great? Why Indians are forced to work for American companies? Why there are not big platforms or applications for the world to see? It's pretty humiliating as an Indian, but we have to understand that what they're saying is technically not wrong as well.
The thing is, India has got some extraordinary natural beauty, but yeah, the cities, the inner cities, yeah, an absolute fever dream of chaotic filth. Yeah, the infrastructure, terrible, absurd.
So when I was over at Meta, there were suicides at Meta, right? And I had a coworker at the time who was an H1b visa holder. Essentially, the way it works at Meta is you are forced to get a promotion every 2 years. If you do not promote within 2 years, you are fired. This H1b guy had to immediately switch teams where he could have more stability because he was panicked that he would get deported. There's a lot of pressure for people at Meta to just grind super hard and make sure they get a promotion within 2 years, and if they don't, they essentially get deported out. It's a hire and fire, slash and burn system. And
So here this person, who claims to be a ex-developer with Meta, he recounts his experience how Indian H1b visa workers were put under extreme hardship by the company with a sword hanging over their heads, and how they were exploited by making them work extremely long hours, and the rewards were pitiful. If they delivered whatever the managers wanted, well, otherwise they would be fired. And this made a lot of H1b engineers there to keep looking out for new opportunities.
H1b holders are just pushed super hard to work much harder than, say, their American counterparts.
So we saw the entire mood in America and in Western countries. So to sum it up, this is a meme basically, but it sums up the mood in America and Europe right now. So let's have a look at it.
They're taking all our jobs.
What qualifications do you have?
None. They're taking all the qualifications as well.
Anyways, so we'll go to the next slide. This shows the reaction of our Indian people. First is a visual from our industry minister Piyush Goyal, and then we will see the reaction of few of our other Indians.
It's easier to do business in India, to promote manufacturing in India, to support trade and industry business and commerce, including international trade. पूरे विश्व के अलग अलग देश भारत के साथ फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट भी करना चाहते हैं, भारत से व्यापार बढ़ाना चाहते हैं, संबंध सुधारना चाहते हैं, थोड़ा बहुत हमारे टैलेंट से डरते भी हैं.
You need us, bro. You need us. You want Indians to go back? Then who's going to run your Google and your Microsoft?
This is a post from one Indian lady in US called Madhuri Desai. I'm not berating her, but look at the level of delusion one can have.
Select the giant Satya Nadella to leave as well? Do you also want your boss to go back? Because I'm sure they're Indian as well. And if your boss isn't Indian, I'm sure the CEO of your company is. And if we all leave, who's going to run your tech industry? We literally run your country's economy. You need us, silly beans. You need us. Just say thank you and enjoy your chicken tikka masala.
So I thought it was cringe. My only contention is that we are totally deluding ourselves if we think that we are, by working for somebody, we are actually running that economy or running that company or running that country. Today, if Trump fires everybody and asks all Indians working for American companies to go back home, do you think Meta or Google, AWS will stop working? Nothing will stop. Everything will continue working. The only people who will be at loss will be us, the people, a lot of Indians who had been getting their salaries, they would not get it. America would continue to move simply because they have built their systems. The platform is theirs, the systems are there, the servers are there, and a lot of automation options are there. So nothing will stop, but any which ways. See, there are 700,000 H1b employees are working in, of which 60% are Indians. So roughly 420,000 people are working, dependent on US companies for their livelihoods. So I would like to ask, what is your take on this entire matter? What do you think we should have done, and how can we tackle this problem which we have in our hands? If you ask me personally, I find it humiliating that we have to ask different governments to take in our workers. Indian government, whenever they do a trade deal with different countries, one of the components of trade negotiations is allowing Indian workers to go and work in that country. I find it abhorring. Anecdotally, I came across a couple of tweets from people. So one quoted Bloomberg to say that, the trade discussions which we are having with America, so their Indian government has been asking American government to allow Indian workers to work in America. So basically some kind of a visa to let more workers go there. From the outset, we can say that it will be non-starter. Looking at the local situation in America, this will not fly. But anyway, the government has to make efforts, and it's doing in good faith. Even when Prime Minister Modi had gone to Japan while he was going to SCO meeting, so there also he had lobbied for allowing more Indian workers to work in Japan. Now, this thought that our government has to go to different countries and request them to allow Indian workers is nothing but shameful in my opinion. You might disagree. We'll come to the solution part later. We will see how we can append this situation. Now, one of the classic examples is that from China. Now, China is a country which has similar kind of demographics as ours, and it was in a similar economic state as we are in at the time of independence. And it's almost like, at the same time we became, India gained independence in 1947, and China became a communist nation in 1949 after a long prolonged war there. So when these governments came in a span of 2 years, our situations were similar. China started liberalization a bit earlier than us in 1978. We started in 1991. In 2007, China was in a similar situation as we are in, wherein large number of talent from China would go to US and other European countries for studies, and they would stay there. Alarmed at this kind of brain drain, they launched a program called TTP, which is 1000 Talent Program. Core idea behind this program was to attract talent who did their masters and PhDs in prestigious colleges in the West and in USA, and it gave three kind of benefits. One was a prestigious rank, second was a high pay, and third was a visa privilege. So what was the high pay which Chinese government promised to these guys? So one immediate grant of 1 million RMB, which is equivalent to 1.2 crores of in Indian rupee. Then startup grant between 1 to 3 million RMB, or in rupee terms 1 to 3.6 crore. Subsidized housing, free transportation, subsidized capital for growth, and visa privileges. So what was the outcome of this TTP? So program which was launched in 2007, it was so successful that this spurred local development of tech platforms, so much so that China was able to develop local versions of each application which was present in West by 2018. So in 10-11 years, they developed everything which was being used in America locally in China. So they developed local copies of Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, Google, etc., etc. So everything you can think of. So China has a local copy. See, what happens is when you copy something and you have this hunger and desire to improve. So initially they started with copying tech, copying platforms, applications, etc. But later on they also improvised. So TikTok is a Chinese product. And now it's ruling the roost in so many countries across the world. I mean, it's one of the biggest social media platforms in US right now. So that is what China's response to its dependence on American tech was. So let's have a look at our response, the Indian response. Indian government knew that China had launched something like TTP in 2007. The whole world knew. And by 10 years, we saw the results also. So as a counter program, the government of India launched this BAVO fellowship program. So what exactly is BAVO fellowship? Let the BAVO fellows identify some institution in India, collaborate with it, and they can come for 1 or 2 months in a year, and maximum they are allowed to come for 3 years. So maximum they can stay here in India for 6 months in 3 years. So the areas in which it will happen is pretty impressive. A lot of big things are there. But what is the benefit government of India is giving? So let's have a look at it. So government of India is proposing to give $5,000 per month, 4 lakh rupees, for a minimum of 1 month and a maximum of 2 months. And airfare from host country to India, accommodation, and contingency additional 1 lakh rupees for research, and domestic travel to 2 locations only for this stay. And you can come here for how many months? 2 months in a year. And what is expectation from the fellowship program? So share best practices on research and translation of research and incubation. Build long-term connections. Connect Indian students to foreign faculty and scientists. New approaches to research. So we are spending all this money to help find more connections to Indian students working in different colleges in India, so that at the end of the program, after the Indian students have done their research, they can use this connection and migrate abroad. So this is our counter to TTP of China. So there's another program called Vajra. So let's have a look at it. So Vajra is Visiting Advanced Joint Research Faculty Program. So what exactly is the objective of this program? The Vajra faculty will engage in collaborative research in cutting-edge areas of science and technology, including interdisciplinary areas of priority such as energy, water, health, security, nutrition, materials, and manufacturing with the Indian collaborators. So basically it's a collaboration program. The faculty is expected to co-guide research students and may also be involved in technology development, innovation, startups, etc. But that's not a core requirement. And what is the benefit which these guys are getting? So it's allowed only for 1 month or maximum of 3 months, and you can get in the first month you get 15,000 USD, and next 2 months maximum $10,000, and no other benefits are allowed. So basically $35,000 for a year, and I think it would be valid for 1 or 2 years or 3 years, something like that. In both these programs, the money is given to the host university or institution, and these guys are expected to collect their monies from these institutions, which may or may not be a difficult task. But look at the objective. The objective is to help connect with foreign colleges, students, universities, host Indian students there, and all kind of things. Obviously, nothing of that scale or vision which China had. So my take on this and these two programs is that these programs are perfunctory in nature. They, in name, aim to deliver and to compete with the Chinese policy or the Chinese program, but in reality, it will do nothing. It's all bogus. It will fail tremendously. So this is what a program run by UPSC trained by bureaucrats will look like. All the expenditure and no tangible benefit to the country. You now must be wondering, what is the solution? What is it? What exactly can we do to extricate ourselves from this difficult situation? How can we reduce the dependence on US now? So we are now, like in the next couple of slides, we will present our solution. Somewhere we have to take a leaf from the Chinese playbook. We have to create a program which will genuinely bring people from America, from West, with their skill sets, and they need to have a skin in the game. All these programs wherein they are working for some university there, and they come to India, maybe stay there for 1 or 2 months, and provide connections and relationships. This is all bunkum. Even if there is no corruption involved, it will result in frittering away our resources. I think substantial will come out of this program. So this is a solution for Indian independence from US tech. So let's see the steps. Now we need to do the following. First thing which we can do, and we need to do it from today itself. We need to wholeheartedly embrace open source culture in India. It can start from government. Government needs to enforce that every office in the government of India and all state governments, every office needs to start using Linux as a OS operating system. We need to check out Windows operating system immediately from all the offices, all universities, all colleges, all schools. And we need to start using open source languages, open source applications, and tech stack. This absorption and adoption of open source operating system and technologies will help us to gain independence from US tech platforms in a large way. Secondly, we need to create 2 funds. First fund is of 50,000 crores, which will be instituted by Government of India. The money has to come from Government of India, and it will focus on high-tech industries and technologies like foundational models, Indian models, AI, quantum computing, other cutting-edge technologies which only a small number of people have the requisite skills. It will target getting top talents from across the world to work in India. Majority of it, 75% of the funding, will go to Indian skilled resources across the world. 25% of the allocation can be made to attract talents from other countries as well. This will be a strategic investment. Government can take some equity in the company, and in 10 years time it can divest. I'm sure if right kind of investments are made and right kind of people are selected, government will be in the profit. But it will have to put in the money upfront, and it will have to manage this entire process for next 10 years. Another fund which we are calling as Platform Freedom Fund. This fund of 15,000 crore is aimed at startups to create Indian platforms. This will be funded by a collective of Indian companies or Indian corporates like Tata's, Birlas, Ambani, Adani, etc. I mean, a lot of big guys are there. What government of India can do, call the heads of these companies, maybe top 50, top 100 across the country, and ask them to put in the money in this corpus. So this will be managed by Indian Private Equity Group. We will have 1,000 startups. On the average, these startups will be given 25-30 crores to start with. They can have maybe 10-15 people to start with. And these guys, 1,000 guys, they will work on 200 different applications. So, for example, if you want to have a microblogging platform like X or Twitter, so let's have 5 startups work on a Twitter kind of application. Let's have 5 different startups work on a YouTube kind of an application. Another 5 on search, Indian search application. Another on Discord kind of application. Another on email application. So think of any application which we use in our day-to-day lives. WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook. So 5-6 companies, each they will start working on one application. They'll be given 24 to 30 months or 3 years, to come out with a working prototype which is launched in the market. And each of these guys, working on, so 5 guys are working on one application, so we'll pick up the best. So at the end of the year, some competent authority, maybe a set of users, they will select the best application which has come out from this competition, and that will be scaled up further. And maybe other guys who have worked in getting that product right, they will be co-opted and they will work together to scale this application to the next level. I'm sure when the first applications come out after 3 years, they will be working application, but obviously it will not have all the frills, the usability will be limited. So these guys, there will be one winner, but the 4 guys who could not win, they will come together and they will now build it up to the next level. So in that way, these 1,000 companies, they will help us create 200 different applications for us, and it will ensure that in 3 to 5 years, when these companies start becoming mature and start getting more and more customers, so we have, after 5 years, complete tech independence from the West. So this is 2025. If we start this project in now, maybe by 2030, we can have a second independence, this time independence from US technology. So this 1 lakh crore of funding, 50,000 crore from government, 50,000 crore from private, from Indian corporates, but both pushed and egged on by the government, can have this long-term security of our nation. It can secure independence on all aspects, and we can have economy which will have so many different stacks and applications and companies, and it can adopt and it can co-opt, it can absorb the engineers which are getting churned out every year. Say one Meta today employs so many people. So the Indian Meta will have maybe 50,000, 100,000 employees 5 years later. The Indian X might have 10,000 employees. The Indian Gmail or Google might have 50,000 employees. The Indian AWS might have another 25-30,000 employees. So we're talking about 200 different tech platforms and hundreds and thousands of engineers working for these Indian products, and all the data is with us. They are not subservient to US whims and fancies, and the money is getting churned. In future, it can be exported to other countries, smaller countries which do not have access to resources to develop their own, as a competition to American products. It can go to China, it can go to America in future. So this kind of approach is required, and Manhattan-like project for India, but it's equally important. It's important because today we are in all aspects dependent on foreign technology. We might have this delusion, we might feel that we are a coding superpower. We are not. We need to employ our intelligence, our skill sets with our money to create the platforms, because systems are not there right now. So what we are suggesting would solve the problem of dependence on US technology. So government of late has done a great job by putting in money in PLI schemes to spur the manufacturing. Government needs to step in to bring in money on Indian platforms to secure our future. Do tell us, how do you find this entire program, our content? If you liked us, do leave us a feedback. We would welcome your comments. Do subscribe to our channel and leave us a like. Also press the notification button so that you can be apprised of our next content as and when we drop it. Thank you for staying with us.